What's up, everybody? We're here to go over UFC 306, OMalley versus Dvalishvili. No results to go over. We've had the week off. Sean Brady versus Gilbert Burns card is this weekend. So yeah, no results to go over. Please like and subscribe, guys. It'll help me out a lot. If you're new to the channel, what I do is I go through and I give out my picks for each of the fights, and at the end of the video, I give out my bets for the card. I'm also available on Spotify, iTunes, all your major streaming platforms. And if you're not interested in watching my videos, you just want to see my picks and my bets, you can go to my social medias. Highkick_fight picks is Instagram and TikTok. And there's a Facebook group, High Kick Fight Picks on Facebook. Pretty easy to find. And if you're looking for a good sports book, you guys know I'm working with Bovada.lv. I'll put the link down in the comments for you guys. If you check it out, it's a good book. If you're looking to help out the channel, want to throw a little money in my direction, man, it would help me out if you signed up. It's a great book. Early cash outs on your parlays, quick payouts. They usually have usually on the day of the fights, they usually have like 3 of the cards up, man. And like right now we're in between 2 breaks, or we're going to be in between 2 breaks when this card happens. So, but yeah, they're a good book, man. Check them out. And yeah, so I've been kind of dragging my feet. One, I've been pretty sick, dude. The past, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. So that's why I didn't do the video on the Contender Series, whichever, I think it was at week 4. That's tonight. I didn't do a video on it. I'll just go over it real quick at the end of this, and just, there's honestly, there's not any like favorites that I don't agree with on this one, unfortunately. I always try to like look at some dogs and stuff on the Contender Series, and really not any hot takes on there. I kind of agree with all the favorites, but I'll go over it at the end of this card. Yeah, I've been feeling like crap, man, and been sleeping a lot and kind of out of it. But and I've been dragging my feet trying to do this card anyway because there's only 10 fights on it right now, and I was hoping they would add more because I already gave out the bets that I have for this card last week. That's kind of like trying to give everybody early heads up, on the lines and everything. So I already gave up what I got right now or last week. So I mean, I'll go over my picks for the rest of the card, but yeah, man, I was hoping they'd add more by now. I mean, I guess I could have waited longer, but I usually get my videos out on Tuesdays, 2 weeks before. So I'll just go ahead and go over it. And if there's any changes, man, I'll make another video or something, or I'll update you if there's. They've got to add more cards. This is a pay-per-view, man. They can't just have 10 fights on a fucking pay-per-view. I don't care if it's at the Spear or not. I mean, they really hyped up this card, and there are some fights that I really like on this card, but it's really not all that, I mean, that they're making it out to be. I don't know what else they got planned that they're planning on adding to this card, but it sucks that Michelle Pereira and Anthony Hernandez aren't going to be fighting. But yeah, I mean, there's some good fights, but I mean, it's really not all they've been making it out to be, Yeah, as far as anything else, man, I think that's it. But let's get into this card, guys. Ros Jr. is taking on a Lang, and I never even know. I mean, I never even know if I'm saying his name right half the time. It might. I think you're supposed to say it Archie Long, but let's say Archie Long. I hope that's right. I can't remember. I'm so out of it right now. But Ros Jr. is 19 years old. He's 5'9" with a 67-inch reach. He is 9-1 and 3-1 in the UFC, and he's a -900 favorite. Crazy favorite. I already told y'all that I've got like a 2-fight parlay. I parlayed him. I got him at -500 last week, and parlayed him with somebody else to get a little bit better value on the bet. So I've been, it's. I'm not really a big fan of this guy, Ros Jr. A lot of people are, but they keep giving him easy matchups, so why not take advantage of it? They want him to win. And since he lost to Rodriguez, they've been giving him guys that he has a clear advantage over. They're trying to push him, because he's a young guy. And he's very good. He pretty much gets everybody down. He's good at what he does with his grappling and his wrestling. Very good at transitioning to the back. 2 wins by knockout, 6 wins by submission. He does run the risk of gassing out at times because he wrestles so hard early. Always comes out pushing a really tough pace, but that's how he lost to Rodriguez. But if you can make him work hard to get the takedowns and keep you down, you can tire him out a little bit. If you can make it through the second half of the fight anyway. But I'm not really sure this is a guy that's going to be able to do that here. I think he has huge advantages on the ground here. He shows 44% striking accuracy with 47% striking defense, 39% takedown accuracy. Doesn't show his takedown defense on here for some reason, probably because I don't know if anybody's ever tried to take him down or not. He averages 4.39 takedowns per fight, 1.83 submissions per fight, and he lands on average 1.12 strikes per minute while absorbing 1.41, which is because he's doing most of his work on the ground, either way. But yeah, he's got big advantages here in this fight, man. And he's taking on Archie Long. He is 31 years old, 5'7", with a 69.3 inch reach. 25-11 and 3-3 in UFCs, plus 575 underdog. 8 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission. He's been submitted 3 times, so obviously that's a weak area of his game. Submission awareness and defense, which is what Rosas is good at. So I mean, and Archie Long hasn't really beat anybody good in the UFC yet. He's a good striker. He's got the power. He's going to have the power advantage on the feet, the striking advantage as well. I just don't think he's going to be able to keep the fight on the feet long enough to knock out Rosas. Unless Raul gasses out, then maybe Archie Long has a chance late in the fight. I don't have much more to say here on either of these guys' behalf. I'm going to be going with Raul Rosas Jr. to win the fight by first round submission. Next up, we got Manuel Torres taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. And Manuel Torres is 29 years old. He's 5'10" with a 73-inch reach. He is 15-2 and 3-0 in the UFC. He's a plus 102 underdog. This is a good fight, good matchmaking, and a very hard pick to make. The line has been going back and forth on these guys. I'm a big fan of both these guys. I think I've had money on both these guys, in a lot of their fights. Torres is a great striker, really good boxing, great elbows. All but one of his wins have been by finish. 7 knockouts, 7 submissions. Both his losses have been by submission. But Ignacio isn't really known for submitting anybody, so I don't know that he's going to have to worry about that, here. Huge power, very technical striking, but we have seen him get clipped in a few of his fights, but he hasn't lost, but he has got, clipped some good shots. Seems to have great takedown defense, showed off some strong grappling in his last fight. And it's hard to say who's the better striker here. Torres probably has a power advantage based on what we've seen. Torres is used to kind of being like the longer, taller guy. It has him listed as 5'10", but he always seems so much bigger than that. But this is going to be he's taking on somebody here that's going to be bigger than him, for once. So we'll see how he deals with it. He probably has the advantage on the ground, based on what we've seen in his last fight. Bahamondes doesn't really play around on the ground with people. That's been a weakness in the past for him. Torres does leave his chin up in the air at times, so that can be a little bit scary. He's got, good calf kicks. And one thing to keep an eye on is all of his wins have been in the first round, except for his one split decision win that he had. So we don't know how good the cardio really is, honestly. He obviously, has a strong start to the fight, sorry. And he's fighting a guy here who's never lost by knockout, so this is definitely going to be a big test for him. And this is definitely going to be the toughest guy he's ever fought. And, I would say that Torres is definitely probably the more well-rounded guy out of these two, based on the submission wins and everything. But I do really worry for him here about the cardio and what happens if he gets out of the first round. And he's taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. He is 27 years old, 6'3", with a 75.5-inch reach. He is 15-5 and 4-2 in UFC. Minus 122 favorite. 10 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission. He's a huge, tall, long guy for the weight class, really good kickboxer, throws a wide variety of strikes, puts out a ton of volume. He's young. He's going to constantly be getting better, making improvements. He's going to be 5 inches taller with a 2.5-inch reach advantage, which you'd expect him to have a longer reach advantage than that, being that much taller. But, most guys that are 6'3" usually have like a 78-inch to 80-inch reach, a lot of the time. So good counter striking, great front kicks to the liver, great uppercuts. Fights well from both stances, great spinning wheel kicks, uses his jab very well. His kicks are really his best weapons a lot of the time, man. And, we saw that in his last fight. and he's so good at setting up his shots. And I think if he can get the fight out of the first round, he has a good chance at winning this fight. Maybe he would be smart to clinch and make Torres work early. Early on in the fight, kind of slow him down a little bit. Um, I do think Torres has the power advantage with the hands, and Ignacio has the better kicks. I like Bahamondes. I want him to win this fight. I want to pick Torres, but I mean, I'm going to feel really dumb if he gasses out after the first round, and loses. That's one thing that really worries me here. Um, I think, guys, this is going to, mostly come down to, for me, normally in these situations, I'll go with wherever the value is. So for now, I'll go with Torres. But if Bahamondes ends up being an underdog, I'll probably switch my pick closer to the fights. I post my updated picks, the day of the fights or the day before the fights on my social medias. But I guess for now, I'll go with Torres by submission. He showed off some good stuff in his last fight, with his grappling and everything. So I'll go with him for now. But yeah, I'm probably chasing value on this fight more so than anything else when it comes down to it. Next up, we got Edgar Charz taking on Kevin Borjas. And Edgar Charz is 28 years old. He is 5'7" with a 72-inch reach. He's 11-5 and 1, or 11-5 and 1 and 1-1 in the UFC. Minus 172 favorite. I'm really surprised he's not a bigger favorite yet. 4 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission. Never been knocked out, but has been submitted twice. Borjas is known as a striker, so I don't think Charz is going to have to worry about, Borjas looking for takedowns and trying to submit him here. I think Charz is the more well-rounded fighter out of these two. He's more dangerous on the ground. He's never won a fight by decision, and he did go 3 rounds with Tatsuro Taira and, didn't get submitted. So I would say he's made a lot of improvements in that game, especially since that fight, with the way, his submissions have looked in his last 2 fights. Great calf kicks, really nice boxing. He's going to be the much bigger guy here. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage, dangerous off of his back, and he does get taken down a lot. But like I said, Borjas isn't really known for his wrestling. I think Charz, like I said, is he's got advantages probably everywhere here, honestly, based on what we've seen from Borjas, in the UFC. It sucks that Charz spent so much time wrapped up, with the Daniel Lacerda fights. We could have seen a lot more of him by now. I mean, we all knew he was going to beat that guy, both times. I mean, why did we really have to wait all that time for a rematch that we knew was going to end up, going the same way, and actually went even quicker of a finish than, the first time would have been, had the ref not stepped in too quickly. He's taking on Kevin Borjas. He is 26 years old. He is 5'5" with a 68-inch reach. He is 9-3 and 0-2 in the UFC. Plus 147 underdog. Definitely hasn't had an easy fight yet in the UFC. He does have great kickboxing. I do like his striking. He showed off a good bit of that, when he fought Joshua Van in his debut. He hurt Joshua Van early, and I thought he was going to win for a second. 8 wins by knockout, no wins by submission. He's definitely showed to have some holes in his game, in the UFC. I definitely didn't think he would go out there and get outstruck by Costa in his last fight. I expected him to get out grappled for sure, but I didn't think he would get outstruck and clipped on the feet like he did by Costa. So it's really hard for me to go with him here. I feel like Charz has the option to take the fight wherever he wants. You can't completely count out Borjas on the feet, though. He does have very slick striking, and I hope he does eventually win a fight in the UFC and sticks around because he is a young guy. He's going to get better, and he does have, pretty good striking. He's very fast. He throws good combinations. I can't go with him here, man. And he also showed, in his Joshua Van fight that he slows down, midway through the fight as well. So maybe has a little bit of cardio issues. I'm taking Charz to win this fight by. I'm taking one by knockout round 3. Maybe round 2. I'll go with round 3 knockout. After Borjas gets tired a little bit. Next up, we got Yasmin Yaruugu taking on Ketlin Souza. And Yasmin is 25 years old. She's 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. She's 11-1 and 3-1 in the UFC. She's a minus 430 favorite. And outside of getting caught by Denise Gomes, she's looked pretty good in the UFC so far. Showed to be very good. She's well-rounded. Still young and making improvements. She's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. She's got the better win. She's faster. She's got really good boxing. Great takedown defense. Throws a lot of volume, good counter striking, fights at a really high pace, and I think if she wanted to use her wrestling in this fight, she has that option. She doesn't really do that much. I don't know if she's really taken anybody down in the UFC yet, but I think she probably could. Souza is a decent striker as well, but kind of a way different style of striking, not as clean, and technical as Yasmin. Yasmin has 7 wins by knockout, no wins by submission, tends to do most of her work on the feet, but I think she can do it all. And I think she has a speed advantage. She throws a wider variety of strikes, throws the longer combinations. She throws 38% striking accuracy with 56% striking defense. She's never landed a takedown in the UFC, so I was right. I guess I'd already figured that out. But hasn't really shot any that I can think of. I don't think she has yet. She has never been taken down, and she lands on average 6.26 strikes per minute while absorbing 5.12. So she does get hit a lot, but she does land a ton of volume. And she's taking on Caitlin Souza. She is 29 years old. She's 5'3" with a 63-inch reach. She is 14-4 and 1-1 in the UFC. It's plus 320 underdog. 8 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission. All of her losses have been by finish, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. She's not a bad fighter whatsoever, but I do think, I was very disappointed she wasn't able to finish her last opponent last time out, and also that she kind of gave up her round getting taken down by somebody who, not trying to be super disrespectful about her last opponent, but she doesn't seem like she's quite ready to be in the UFC yet, and I think Souza lost a round to her, so it's not a good look. Souza has good Muay Thai, good power. It's always possible she could land a big shot, no doubt. But I think she's going to be outclassed in this fight on the feet here, and I think this fight plays out on the feet. She would have to wrestle to get the win here, and she's not really known for that. She's known for her striking. She does fight well in the clinch. She does tend to throw like the big attacks out there, rather than just the sharp technical stuff, big power shots and stuff like that. I think Ketlin will have success in the UFC, but I think this is a bad matchup for her, guys, and I'm going to be going with Yasmin to win this fight by decision. I'm sorry that I probably sound out of it, guys. I can barely keep up with myself. My lungs are messed up from being sick. Next up, we got Irene Aldana taking on Norma Dumont. Aldana is 36 years old. She's 5'9" with a 68.5-inch reach. She is 15-7 and 8-5 in the UFC. She's the minus 125 favorite. 8 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission. She has great boxing. She's kind of a tall, skinny fighter, so she's very fast, throws great combinations. And as we saw in her last fight, she doesn't really check or know what to do about the leg kicks. She just kind of eats them the whole time. Not a very smart strategy there, even though she still got the win last time. But her biggest weakness has always been her takedown defense. I know it says she has decent takedown defense on the number, 76% takedown defense, but we have seen her taken down quite a bit. That's how, Amanda Nunes was able to beat her, fairly easily that way. She's never been submitted, though, so it just gets taken down a lot. I think she's better on the feet here, but Dumont has showed off her well-rounded game in her last few fights. This fight will come down to how much has, Irene Aldana's takedown defense improved pretty much. Aldana does have the advantage in that she finishes a lot of fights, very clean striking, good power, throws nice, long, straight, accurate shots. But to be in that fight, like with Aldana and not go for takedowns is just kind of a really dumb game plan. Rosa did well very early in the last fight, and it was a great fight, don't get me wrong, but she got behind as the fight went on. She really should have tried to use her wrestling, after the first round. Aldana shows 40% striking accuracy with 57% striking defense, 50% takedown accuracy with 76% takedown defense, and she lands on average 5.24 strikes per minute while absorbing 6.33. So she lands a lot, gets hit a lot more as well, and she's taking on Norma Dumont. She is 33 years old, 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. She's 11-2 and 7-2 in the UFC. Plus 105 underdog, no wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission. The only knock I have on her is that she doesn't finish fights, man. She's extremely well-rounded. She's going to be the much bigger, stronger girl here as far as muscle goes. She's used to fighting like 145 before. In her last fight, I found really impressive because Duran to me, I expected her to look really washed up and everything, and I didn't really think she did. I thought she looked pretty good, and Norma Dumont was able to go in there and beat somebody that was a really good fighter. Former champion, if I remember correctly, and Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with it. I was a little worried for her going into that fight against such a good striker, a big girl. Um, but yeah, she showed how good her wrestling is, and a lot of it, with her is she fights safe and smart, and gets the win rather than chasing the finish. And yeah, it sucks, but I'm still a big fan of hers, and I do think that, as I've already said last week, that she is going to be able to wrestle her way to victory here, and I like the price on her here as well. Women's MMA always ends up getting me, guys. Y'all know I've been going on with that for a while now, so tail my play on this one at your own risk, but I'm taking Dumont to win by decision here. Next up, we got Daniel Zellhuber taking on Esteban Ribovics. And Zellhuber is 25 years old. He's 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. He is 15-1 and 3-1 in the UFC, and he's a minus 215 favorite. 7 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission. He's never been finished. He's a huge guy for the weight class, and honestly, Ribovics and Zellhuber's last opponent are very similar. They're even both from Argentina. They fight in a very similar way. Um, I mean, I'm sure Ribovics is. I think he's probably a little bit better than Francisco Prado, but they are very similar. Zellhuber's going to have an 8-inch reach advantage here. It says he's 6'1", but he always looks like he's 6'3", and he's always towering over everybody. He's still young. He's constantly getting better. Fights well out of both stances. Throws a wide variety of strikes. Good front kicks to the body. The only thing I've ever had bad to say about him is that at times, his striking defense didn't look really good. He's got hit with some big shots a few times in some of the fights we've seen, but he's never been finished, so it's still working for him. But it did look much improved in his last fight. But he's been getting better, man. And Prado came at him with everything he had in that fight, and Zellhuber was able to avoid most of it and land the good counters and just slowly beat up, Prado throughout the fight. Use his length, his height to outwork him, his jab. Zellhuber can do it all, though, man. He can wrestle. He has good submissions, great takedown defense, great cardio. He trains at elevation, so I mean, he's not going to get tired. Um, and pops the jab really well. Good knees in close. Really good at using his range. And I think he's going to go really far. In this organization, man, and be up there for quite a while, man. He's only 25. He shows 41% striking accuracy with 56% striking defense, 33% takedown accuracy with 94% takedown defense, and he lands on average 5.86 strikes per minute while absorbing 5.6. And he's taking on Esteban Ribovics. He is 28 years old, 5'10" with a 69-inch reach. He is 13-1 and 2-1 in the UFC. He's a plus 178 underdog. Yeah, I really like this guy too, man. 7 wins by knockout, 5 wins by submission. He's never been finished. This guy has great kickboxing too, man, and he has shown to have some holes in his game at times with his takedown defense. And I've had money on both these guys in their last few fights. Ribovics isn't the biggest lightweight. We kind of saw that in his debut. He was kind of outsized and outmuscled against Radzhabov. But like his last knockout was, fucking awesome, man. It was cool. But we've seen McKinney, knocked out a lot of times, so it's not a surprising result. I had money on Ribovics there. I knew he was going to win that fight. Ribovics does a lot of things well, very fast, good combinations. He does have but Zellhuber kind of has a way of shutting all that stuff down, man, with his range, and I just don't know how well that Ribovics is going to be able to deal with that. But he is definitely a live dog. He is a good fighter. I wouldn't be shocked, if he came out here and ended up getting a knockout or something. But I just think this fight's going to look a lot like Zellhuber's last fight, and with his big reach advantage and everything. So, but this is no easy fight for Zellhuber either. Ribovics is 13-1. It's a scary fight, scary opponent. But I think the technical skills and the range of Zellhuber, and even possibly his wrestling, will get him the win in this fight. So I'm going with Zellhuber to win this fight. Taking a win by decision, or possibly submission would be a good way to attack it. Next up, we got Brian Ortega taking on Diego Lopez, and this is a fight that I've gone over before. Last time it was supposed to happen. Catch my breath for a minute. Brian Ortega is 33 years old. He's 5'8", with a 69-inch reach. He is 16-3 and 8-3-1 in the UFC. He's a plus 155 underdog. 3 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission. Never been submitted, but he has been knocked out twice. And he's known for his jiu-jitsu, man, and that's what he's best at. And the problem with that is I see Lopez has very good jiu-jitsu as well. I don't see anybody submitting Lopez because no one ever has. And Ortega does have decent boxing, throws nice straight shots, uses his jab pretty well. He almost got knocked out in the first round of his fight with Yair Rodriguez last time out, but he survived and he got the win. Showed how tough he was. Showed that he still deserves to be at the top of the division. Doesn't throw a ton of kicks, but his best weapon is obviously his triangle choke. Both these guys are dangerous off of their backs. I just don't know that Brian, has the wrestling and the takedowns to take Lopez down and keep him there. He does have good trips and sweeps and whatnot, good top pressure, good ground and pound. Just not seeing a lot of positive victory for him, here. He shows 39% striking accuracy with 50% striking defense, 27% takedown accuracy with 58% takedown defense. He averages 1.17 submissions per 15 minutes and just over one takedown per fight, and he lands on average 4.7 strikes per minute while absorbing 6.54. And he's taking on Diego Lopez. He is 29 years old. He's 5'11" with a 72.5-inch reach. He is 25-6 and 4-1 in the UFC. He's a minus 180 favorite. And how can you not love this guy, man? He's down to fight whoever, whenever. Taking a new opponent on the day of the fight last time, and while he didn't look very good in the third round of that fight, I can't say I blame him, man. After all the stress and the different weigh-ins and all that stuff, man. But this guy came to the UFC and made his debut against Movsar Evloev and made a good account of himself on short notice. And since he's gone out and gotten quick finishes 3 in a row, and then he fought Dan Ige to a decision, and Dan Ige is one of the toughest guys in the sport. Very exciting, very dangerous everywhere, and one of my new favorites. And he went out and he knocked out a good striker and Sadiq Yusuf last time out like it was nothing. All three of his 3 fights that he got finishes in all ended within a minute and 30 seconds of the first round. So definitely a finisher. He's tall, long for the weight class. He's gonna have a 3.5-inch reach advantage. Great Muay Thai striking, nasty uppercuts. World-class jiu-jitsu, big power in his hands, super dangerous, very creative off of his back as well, and he stays very active, man, and he has more experience overall than Ortega even, and Ortega's been around a long time. He has crazy flying, triangle finishes, all that stuff, man, and he's got, he have 10 wins by knockout, 12 wins by submission. He's never been submitted, throws great calf kicks, good takedown defense, and I honestly think he's better everywhere in this fight. He's definitely the better striker, and I think he's going to win this fight by knockout again. I'm taking a win by knockout round 1. Next up, we got Ronaldo Rodriguez taking on Ode Osborne. Don't understand why this one's so far up on the card, though. And Rodriguez is 25 years old. He is 5'6" with a 65-inch reach. He is 16-2 and 1-0 in the UFC. He's a minus 170 favorite. And so the thing with this guy is that his record looks great on paper and everything, but he hasn't really fought a whole lot of tough competition. He did win by rear naked choke, the last time out, which is the way Osborne lost his last 2 fights. He definitely didn't look good at the start of that fight, but he did eventually start taking over the fight, and his cardio held up. He's got good boxing. He got taken down quite a bit, but he's very good at sweeping and getting back to his feet and everything. He does get hit a lot, but he can take it. Stands his ground, man. He's never been finished. 7 wins by knockout, 5 wins by submission. Had a long amateur career as well, even though they don't have it listed on Tapology. I've heard them talking about it. They were talking about it during his last fight that he has like 20 amateur fights. Great cardio, if I didn't already say that. Good scrambles, good at scrambling and up on top every time he's taken down. He's got kind of a weird style, all around. It kind of matches, like, his nickname is Lazy, and at times his style can look kind of lazy and everything, but he slowly takes over the fight. He kind of takes everything that guys throw at him, and he just slowly takes over. But sometimes he kind of throws like wide looping shots, and it can look a little weird and slow, but he's very effective, and he seems to be very good. He's taking on Ode Osborne. He is 32 years old, 5'7" with a 73-inch reach. He is 12-7 and 4-5 in the UFC. He's a plus 145 underdog. 4 wins by knockout, 5 wins by submission. This guy's had nothing but hard fights for quite some time now. This is a big step down in competition from his last 4 opponents. Ode does have the skills, man. He's a huge, long flyweight. He's going to have an 8-inch reach advantage here. He's fought the tougher competition. He has the better wins. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him win this fight. He has good striking, good power. His weakness has always been his takedown defense and his submission awareness and defense. And because Rodriguez showed a good ground game in his last fight, that's the only reason I'm still going to go with him here to win by submission. But I won't get heavily invested in it. And if you're like me and you like to throw together an underdog parlay just in case, I think Osborne's live for an upset. He's live for an upset here, but I'm going to be going with Rodriguez to win this fight by submission, just like the last 2 times Ode fought. But I wouldn't be surprised, man. He has a really good flyweight, and he's been fighting tough competition, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him come out here and turn things around. Next up, we got the co-main event: Alexa Grasso taking on Valentina Shevchenko. Grasso is 31 years old. She is 5'5" with a 66-inch reach. She is 16-3-1 and 8-3-1 in the UFC. Minus 117, slight favorite. And I got to be honest here, man. I really do think that the only reason the last fight was a draw was because it was at UFC Noche and they didn't want Grasso to lose. And once again, this is taking place on UFC Noche. So I thought Valentina won the last time. I really did. But how confident can you be, with the way the last decision went, to a draw when I thought clearly Shevchenko won. But, Grasso has 4 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission. She is really good. These two could go back and forth, man, beating each other. They're both very good. They have very competitive rounds. Grasso struggled with the wrestling in the past. That was her weakness. But she's made tons of improvements. She's well-rounded, good boxing. And honestly, I'm tired of going over this fight because I've already done it twice. But it's a very close fight, man. I just think it sucks that I feel like Valentina has to get a finish to win this fight. Just because the judges aren't going to want to give it to her. After UFC Noche. I don't know. But she's taking on Valentina Shevchenko. She is 36 years old. She's 5'5" with a 65.5-inch reach. She is 23-4-1 and 12-3-1 in the UFC. She's minus 103. 8 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission. I want her to win. She's always been one of my favorite fighters. Great kickboxing, good wrestling. Just really well-rounded, man. She has all the tools, and Grasso does too, man. And she did have success with her wrestling a lot more in the last fight. She got caught in the second round with a big shot, but then she took over the rest of the round with her wrestling. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the rounds are always so close between these two, man. It all depends on the judges and what that are there that night and everything. So, my advice, to y'all is probably just to go one of 2 ways with this. You can either go with Grasso at UFC Noche. They're going to be wanting to give her, the win, or go with the value, whoever the dog is. It's a hard pick for me. I've been going back and forth, with this one again. I really want to pick, Shevchenko, but as close as the line is now, I guess I'm going to go with Grasso. If it goes to decision, I think they'll give it to her. But if the plus money gets really big on Shevchenko, maybe I'll switch my pick, closer to the fights and go with the value. I hope she wins. I think if she doesn't get a finish here, she's not going to be able to win this fight because of the judges, Yeah, so for now, the pick is Grasso to win by decision. Next up, we got the main event. Sean O'Malley taking on Merab Dvalishvili. And I'm curious what everybody's thinking on this one, man. Because, I mean, Sean O'Malley's really good. I think a lot of people are counting him out here. We've never seen Merab take on such a tall, lanky guy or this good of a striker, really. I mean, O'Malley's probably the best striker that Dvalishvili's ever fought, So I'm really curious what all you guys are thinking on this. O'Malley is 29 years old. He's 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. He's 18-1 and 10-1 in the UFC. Minus 103, slight underdog. 11 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission. And I used to hate this guy, man, when he first came to the UFC. But I've really grown to enjoy his fights and really appreciate how good he is. He looked great last time out against Vera, man, but let's face it, Vera really probably shouldn't have been fighting for the belt at that point. As much as I love Marlon Vera, I'm a big fan of his. there were other people that should have been fighting for the belt, especially like Corey Sandhagen should have been fighting for the belt, instead of Vera, but whatever, man. And no doubt that O'Malley is a better striker here. Tall and long for the weight class. He's really a huge for the weight class. 4-inch reach advantage, very fast and powerful, great counter striking, great footwork, great head movement, great combinations, fights well from both stances. His takedown defense has improved quite a bit, very accurate. This fight all comes down to how he's going to deal with the wrestling from Merab, and we did see him taken down by Peter Yan. That was a close fight. I just don't know, man. I have a lot of trouble picturing Merab really just kind of like manhandling O'Malley and carrying him around like he was, Henry Cejudo and stuff. Being that O'Malley's so much taller, so much bigger, um, and I think it's completely possible that O'Malley's going to be looking to land those knees, on the way in for the takedowns. Um, but O'Malley shows 62% striking accuracy, great number, 62% striking defense. 43% takedown accuracy with 63% takedown defense. That is a key number there. Averages 1 knockdown per fight, and he lands on average 7.63 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.52. He's taking on Merab Dvalishvili. He is 33 years old. He's 5'6" with a 68-inch reach. He is 17-4 and 10-2 in the UFC. Minus 117, slight favorite. 3 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission. Not a big finisher. He does have a lot of good wins on his record. There are some that bother me, kind of like his fight with Jose Aldo. He really couldn't do much in that fight. All he did was try and take Aldo down, and he couldn't even get him down, and didn't really do shit in that fight. I mean, I guess he did enough to get the win, but it was just like, it wasn't like he dominated Jose Aldo, so didn't really show us much there. But he did look a lot better in his next, few fights after that. His striking has gotten a lot better. There's not a lot of people that can match the pace and the pressure that he brings to the table. And those are really his best weapons, man. Great wrestling, puts out a ton of volume as well. He's constantly throwing stuff, constantly moving forward, good at using his, the high crotch on the takedowns, constantly throwing, constantly pushing forward. But Sean is the kind of guy I could see landing like a crazy knee or some, the crazy counters, because just with his height and range, like Merab is going to have trouble getting on the inside to land anything on him, man. And usually I would say it's a smart way to go with the wrestler, and it probably is. I don't know, man. We just haven't seen Merab, fight anybody like this yet. And Merab shows 42% striking accuracy with 57% striking defense, 37% takedown accuracy with 81% takedown defense, averages 6.43 takedowns per fight, and he lands on average 4.50 strikes per minute while absorbing 2.37. The price isn't bad either way here, guys. I could see it going either way. This is probably one that I'm probably going to take the plus money again every way. I'm going to go with O'Malley for right now. If something changes, I'll let you know. I think he's going to be able to hurt Merab, from the outside, like probably do more damage. I think Merab will probably score takedowns, but I think O'Malley will be able to get back to his feet. And I think he'll do more damage and be able to steal the rounds that way. So I wouldn't mind plus money on Merab, but I'm not going to, pay more for him than I am O'Malley, the champion. So, yeah. So that's it. That's it for my picks, guys. And I already showed you my bets last week, man. And if they add more fights, I'm sure I'll have some more bets. Those are the wrong ones. Yeah, so I got a 1-unit play on Edgar Charz at minus 135. That's a 1-unit play. Actually, Dumont's plus money now, so I kind of screwed myself putting it in at minus 115. So I might add more to that for the plus money. I'll see it, or see if Bubba will let me. Sometimes I'll let you cash it out and give you your money back, even though the value's changed. For whatever reason, sometimes when I wake up early in the morning, it'll give me the option to cash it out, even though the value's changed, and I'll get my money back. So maybe I can do that and get it back in at plus money. And then I got a 2-fight parlay that's Zell Huber and Ros Jr. That's minus 110. That's a 1-unit play. And like I said, I didn't see any reason. I had money on Lopez last time. Him and Ortega were going to fight. I didn't see any reason not to go back on that. So I got him at minus 155. That's a half-unit play. We'll see what fights they add, man. Sure, hopefully they'll add at least 3 more fights. And it'd be nice if they had the full 15, though, because as much as they charge for pay-per-views nowadays, I mean, you better have 15 fucking fights, you would think. But either way, man, sorry I sound a little bit out of it, guys. Still a little sick. Still kind of recovering from everything. And after this card, there's another week without fights other than Dana White's Contender Series, and I'll try to get these Contender Series cards out, guys. And oh yeah, I'll go back and look at those right now. The one for tonight. Oops, wrong one. Let's go back and look at this here. So yeah, on this card, man, if you go down here and look at this, these favorites, I don't really have any arguments against this with these guys. I think those are the right picks. So I'm going to be going with Quinlan Sakild. I don't know how to say his name. Over Gage Young. Shannon Clark should beat. I mean, this girl, Dubin, she's knocked out all 4 of her opponents, but none of them had any fights. They're all very inexperienced. So I wouldn't be surprised if she got a knockout as a big underdog, but I'm going to go with the more experienced person who's fought the tougher competition. And then Austin Bossy's 12-0. He looks like he's gonna. He's a good wrestler, very well rounded, good finisher. I think he's gonna come out here and win this fight. Will Curry should win this fight. He's very good. And then Calvin Conte, I think, is going to win this fight too, man. So I don't have any arguments against the big favorites here. The thing that I put together here, let me pull it up so I can tell you what it is. Because the big favorites are all, like, I guess you can get good value on Cavalcante. He's like a minus 200, I think. Let me make sure. Pull this up. Yeah, I should have stuff ready to go, shouldn't I? See what I got here. So on the money line, I went with Quinlan at minus 200, Will Curry at minus 425, Cavalcante at minus 375, and then on the Austin Bashi and Dorian Ramos fight, I took it at under 2.5. That's minus 135 to get some value, and then I went with the over 1.5 on the Dubin versus Clark fight, and I don't have a big play on it or anything. I just put like fucking $40 on it, just to see if I could win something on this card. But that's what I did to get some value on the parlay. I do agree with all the big favorites. So yeah, man, that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for caring what I have to say. I hope you guys win some money. I hope I get to feeling better and get back on top of my game here. Sorry I sound like crap. And if any changes to the card come up, I'll update you guys as best I can. And yeah, y'all take it easy, man. I'm out of here.